I've always been a safe driver. Seatbelt on, hands at 10 and 2, never over the speed limit at night. That's why what happened on Route 17 still doesn't feel real. It was late November, just past midnight. I was driving home from my sister's place 3 hours north, Thanksgiving leftovers in the back seat, radio playing soft classics to keep me awake. Snow had started falling, light at first, the kind that dances in your headlights like tiny ghosts. The road was empty. Route 17 twists through dense pine forest, no streetlights, no cell service for miles. I liked it that way, quiet. Then I saw her. A woman standing on the shoulder, thumb out, white coat dusted with snow, long dark hair loose around her shoulders, no hat or gloves despite the cold. She looked young, early 20s maybe, vulnerable. I almost drove past. You don't pick up hitchhikers anymore. Everyone knows the stories. But she looked frozen, arms wrapped around herself, shivering violently. And something about her face when my headlights swept over it, pale, wide-eyed, and pleading, pulled at me like a hook in the chest. I slowed, pulled over 20 yards ahead. She ran to the passenger side and climbed in without waiting for me to unlock it manually. A blast of icy air followed her, along with the faint smell of wet earth and something metallic. "Thank you," she whispered, breath fogging. Her voice was soft, almost childlike. I pulled back onto the road. "Where are you headed?" She pointed straight ahead down the dark highway. "Just keep going." No address, no town, just that. We drove in silence for a few minutes. Snow thickened, wipers thumped rhythmically. I glanced over. She sat perfectly still, hands folded in her lap, staring through the windshield. "You live around here?" I tried again, keeping my tone friendly. She turned slowly. Her eyes were gray, unnaturally gray, like storm clouds before tornadoes. "I used to," she said. The temperature in the car plummeted. The heater was on full blast, but my breath started fogging. Frost crept along the inside of the windshield. I cranked the heat higher, checked the vents, nothing wrong. She smiled, small, sad, almost grateful. "You're kind," she said. "Most people don't stop anymore." I laughed nervously. "Yeah, well, bad night to be out walking." She nodded, then quieter. "I died on this road." I nearly swerved into the ditch. My foot eased off the gas. I looked at her fully for the first time. She was still smiling. 10 years ago tonight," she continued, as casually as talking about the weather. "Drunk driver crossed the center line, hit me head on. They say I was thrown 30 feet into the trees." My mouth went dry, hands tightened on the wheel. "I'm dreaming. Or you're pranking me. There's a camera or something." She shook her head slowly. "No, you stopped for me. That makes you real to me, for a little while." The radio cut to static. Then the emergency broadcast tone pierced the silence, followed by a calm female voice. "Human remains believed to belong to missing local woman Emily Carver were recovered from a ditch along Route 17 earlier this month after construction crews." The name slammed into me like a fist. Emily Carver. Everyone in the county knew that story. 22 years old, vanished 10 years ago after her car was found wrecked on this exact stretch. Search parties for weeks, body never recovered, until last month. I looked at her again. She was fading. Not dramatically, just slowly becoming translucent. I could see the seat fabric through her white coat. Snowflakes falling outside passed right through her shoulder. "Please," she whispered, voice cracking for the first time. "Don't leave me here again. I just want to go home." The car filled with the smell of blood and gasoline. I floored it. The speedometer climbed fast, 70, 80, 90. Snow blurred into white streaks. Pines whipped past like black claws. She reached for my arm. Her hand passed straight through, leaving a trail of frost on my sleeve. I've been walking this road every year on the anniversary, waiting for someone kind enough to stop. I just wanted one more ride home. I don't remember the curve. They told me later I hit black ice doing 95. Car flipped 3 times, wrapped around a tree. I woke up in the hospital 3 days later with broken ribs, a concussion, and a fractured collarbone. Police said no other vehicle involved, no signs of a passenger. But when they inventoried the wreckage, they found melted snow on the passenger seat floorboard, shaped exactly like a woman's boot print. And tangled in the shattered glass of the passenger window, a silver locket, heart-shaped, engraved EC on the front. Inside, a photo of a smiling young woman with gray eyes. It wasn't mine. I still have it. Sometimes, on long drives late at night, the passenger seat gets inexplicably cold. The radio flickers to static, and I swear I hear her voice, soft as falling snow. Thank you for the ride. I don't pick up hitchhikers anymore, but sometimes, when the snow starts falling on lonely roads, I slow down, just in case she's still walking.
I used to be a cave diver, the kind that goes deep, unmapped systems, places no human light has touched in millions of years. The deeper you go, the quieter it gets. Sound behaves strangely underground. Echoes twist, bounce forever off stone shaped by time itself. That's how I know it heard me. The cave was called Erebus Sink, newly discovered in the West Virginia Appalachians, a vertical shaft dropping nearly 1,000 feet before opening into a maze of unmapped passages. My team, me, Jules, and Mara, got exclusive permission for the first full descent. We reached the bottom chamber on day 4. It was breathtaking, cathedral-sized, a perfectly still underground lake, black as ink. Stalactites hung like organ pipes from a ceiling lost in darkness. We set up camp on a narrow gravel beach beside the water. That first night, I couldn't sleep. I sat by the lake with my headlamp off, letting my eyes adjust to pure dark, listening to the slow drip, drip, drip from somewhere high above. Then I heard it, a voice, my own voice, coming from deep beneath the water. Soft, distant. Help me. I froze. Jules and Mara were asleep in their tents 20 feet away. I clicked on my headlamp and shone it across the lake. The beam died against blackness. Nothing moved. But the voice came again, closer this time. I'm so cold. I told myself it was an echo. Sound refraction in caves can play tricks, carry voices from far away, distort them. I went back to my tent. The next morning, Jules was gone, his sleeping bag empty, gear still neatly arranged. We searched for 8 hours, every passage, every crawl space, found only his helmet at the water's edge, lens cracked. Inside, scratched into the foam with something sharp, it listens. We radioed topside, no response, too deep. We decided to abort and ascend the next day. But overnight, our main rope line, the one we'd rappelled down, had frayed. Not worn, cut. Clean slices in multiple places. We were trapped. That night, the voices started for all of us. Our own voices, calling from different directions, from narrow fissures in the rock, from underwater, from inside our helmets when we took them off. We stayed in one tent, lights on full, no one slept. On the 3rd night, Mara started answering. She walked to the water's edge in her sleep, talking softly, to herself or to it. I'm coming. I hear you. We grabbed her, held her down. Her eyes were wide open, pupils blown black. "It knows my name," she whispered against my chest. "It's been waiting since the rock was formed." She broke free in the dark. We heard the splash, then nothing. Just me and Alex now. We tried everything, climbing sheer walls with pitons, signaling with flares, screaming into cracks. Nothing answered but echoes. On the 7th day, Alex sat by the water for hours, staring into the black. I asked what he heard. He smiled, slow, dreamy. "It says you cut the rope." I backed away. "It says you wanted us to stay." He stood. "It says it speaks to you most clearly." I ran. I don't know how long I crawled through narrow passages, panic driving me upward, starving, dehydrated, hallucinating, or so I told myself. I emerged into moonlight 9 days later. Rescuers found me half dead on the mountainside. They sent a recovery team back down. Found nothing. No tents, no gear, no bodies, just the lake, perfectly still, smooth as glass. I don't dive anymore. I can't even go into basements. But sometimes, in the deepest quiet, elevator shafts, subway tunnels, late-night libraries, I hear it, my voice, calling softly from far below, waiting for me to come back down. It's patient, it's ancient, and it still listens.
I worked nights in a small rural hospital, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Long empty hallways, beeping monitors, the occasional moan from a confused patient. Mostly peaceful. Until Mrs. Harlan arrived in room 312. End-stage pancreatic cancer, transferred from the city for palliative care. 87 years old, barely 80 pounds, skin like parchment. But her eyes followed me every single time I entered the room. The first night, I was adjusting her morphine drip when she grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. "You see them too," she rasped. Her grip was ice cold. I gently freed myself. "See who, Mrs. Harlan?" "The children." I gave her the standard nurse smile. The medication can cause very vivid dreams, perfectly normal. She shook her head weakly. "They come for the dying, always have." I charted it as confusion and left. That night, I saw the first child. In the hallway outside 312. Small figure, maybe 5 years old, barefoot, wearing a faded hospital gown 2 sizes too big, standing perfectly still, facing the wall. I approached slowly. "Hey, sweetie, are you lost? Pediatric ward is downstairs." It turned. Where eyes should have been, smooth, blank skin. No nose, no mouth, just a face like unbaked dough. I stumbled backward, heart exploding. When I blinked and looked again, the hallway was empty. I checked every room on the floor, every closet, security footage. Nothing. No children in the entire hospital. The next night, there were 3, standing in a perfect row outside 312, all facing the door, all blank-faced. I radioed security again. They searched, found nothing. Mrs. Harlan died at 3:07 a.m. Peacefully, the chart said. I was in the break room getting coffee when the monitor flatlined. When I returned to 312, the children were inside, standing around her bed, small hands reaching out, touching her face, her thinning hair, her parted lips. One turned its featureless head toward me, pointed. Then, one by one, they walked straight through the far wall, vanished. I quit 2 weeks later, moved 3 states away,
started day shift in a busy urban ER, but the children followed. I see them now outside ICUs, in hospice hallways, always near rooms where someone is slipping away, always blank-faced, always patient. They never speak, they just wait. Sometimes they look at me, and I know what it means. My mother was diagnosed with cancer last year, stage 4. I visit her every day in the hospital. Last night I arrived for evening visiting hours, and there they were, 5 children now, standing outside her room, facing the door, waiting. One turned its smooth face toward me, pointed. Then, one by one, they walked straight through the far wall, vanished. I haven't gone in yet. I'm sitting in the hallway, writing this on my phone. The nurse just came out crying, shaking her head. I know what she's going to say, but the children are still inside. I can feel them, guiding her gently, taking her hand, leading her somewhere I can't follow yet. I think they're kind in their way. They just don't like to take people alone. They want company, and soon I'll have to join them to guide the next one.
I was a late-night radio DJ in a dying Midwest town, station WKXN, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. slot. Oldies, trucker updates, lonely hearts calling in to hear a human voice. We kept people company. Then, the calls started coming from people who weren't alive anymore. The first odd one was a Tuesday in October. Male caller, older, raspy smoker's voice. "You still taking requests?" "Always," I said into the mic. "What can I spin for you tonight?" Long silence. Then, "Play something for the dead." Click. Line dead. I laughed it off on air, prank call, played Don't Fear the Reaper for laughs. But the next night, another. Female caller, soft, sad. "My husband used to listen to your show every night before he passed. I'm sorry for your loss, ma'am. Could you play our song? He'd love to hear it one more time." She told me the song, Unchanged Melody. I played it, dedicated it to her late husband, Arthur. The night after, 3 calls, all requesting songs for deceased loved ones, all naming people I looked up in old obituaries the next day, all dead. I started keeping a log. By week's end, every single call after 3 a.m. was the same. Dead air, then a voice, requesting a song for someone long gone, sometimes decades, sometimes people who died that very night, hours before I got the call. I never played news, never knew, but they did. One night, a child called, small voice, maybe 8. "Can you play something happy?" "Of course, sweetheart. Who's it for?" "For me," she said. "I'm going tonight." Ice slid down my spine. "What's your name, honey?" "Emily." I played the happiest song in rotation, put on a happy face, dedicated it to Emily wherever she was. The next morning's paper, 10-year-old Emily Carter died in a house fire at 2:47 a.m. I almost quit. But something strange happened. Ratings exploded. People started tuning in specifically for the Ghost Request segment. Callers claiming they heard their dead relatives' voices on air, requesting songs. The dead were calling in, live. Management loved it, rebranded me the voice of the grave, sold out ad space, national interviews. But I stopped sleeping. The voices followed me home, whispering through the static of my alarm clock, my car radio, my phone even when it was off. One night, the request line rang during a song. I picked up. Silence. Then my own voice, clear, cold, exactly my cadence. "Play something for me," it said. "I'm going tonight."
I dropped the handset like it burned. The song it requested was the same one I'd played for Emily. I looked at the studio clock, 3:33 a.m. The lights flickered, temperature plunged. I tried to leave, every door locked from the inside, phones dead, except the request line. It rang again and again. I answered the last one, hundreds of voices at once, every person I'd ever played a song for, thanking me, saying they'd been waiting for me to join the broadcast permanently. The station burned down that night. Electrical fire, investigators said, started in the booth. I was the only one inside. They never found my body. But if you're driving late some night and you scan past a weak signal and hear an oldie station playing the perfect song at exactly the right moment, don't call in, don't request, just turn the dial, because I'm still on air from somewhere deeper, and I have a song queued up just for you when your time comes.
There was a tree in the woods behind my childhood home, a massive, ancient oak, trunk wider than 3 men, hollow inside, big enough for a child to stand in comfortably. We called it the wishing tree. You went inside alone, closed your eyes, made a wish out loud, and sometimes it came true. When I was 7, I wished for a puppy. Next week, a stray followed me home, stayed forever. My best friend wished his abusive dad would disappear. 3 days later, his father vanished on a hunting trip, body never found. We stopped playing the wishing game after that, but I never forgot. I went back at 38, after my wife left, after I lost my job, after everything good drained out of my life. I was drunk on cheap whiskey, stumbling through the woods I hadn't visited in decades. The tree was still there, bigger, blackened bark like burned skin. The hollow gaped wider than I remembered. I stepped inside. The air was cool, earthy, silent. I closed my eyes and wished, out loud, I want Sarah back. I want everything like it was before I ruined it. Please. Silence. Then a voice, not mine, deep, ancient, coming from the wood itself, from the roots, from the dark inside the tree. Granted. I stumbled out, drove home, passed out, woke to the smell of coffee and her voice. Honey, I'm home from yoga. Sarah stood in the kitchen, smiling, beautiful, like the day we met, like the divorce never happened. I didn't question it. We were happy again, blissful, for months. Then I noticed small things. She didn't cast a shadow in late afternoon light. Her reflection in mirrors lagged half a second behind. Sometimes she stood at the window at night, staring toward the woods, toward the tree. One night, I woke to an empty bed, found her in the backyard, barefoot in frost, facing the forest. I called her name. She turned, smiled the way she used to. Come see what I found. I followed. We stood before the hollow oak. Moonlight silvered everything. She took my hand, cold as winter stream water. Look inside, she said gently. I did, and saw myself, standing in the hollow, eyes closed, mouth moving, wishing, but older, much older, face gaunt, hair white, trapped, repeating the same wish forever. Sarah, no, the thing wearing Sarah, whispered against my ear. It needed a replacement, someone to keep wishing, to feed it loneliness. I ran. It didn't follow. I came back at dawn with gasoline and matches, burned the tree to ash, watched it collapse into embers, felt nothing. Sarah stayed, perfect, loving, cooking breakfast, kissing me goodbye before work. But sometimes at night, she walks to the backyard, stands where the tree was,
whispers into the ashes, and I know the hollow never truly burns away. It just moves, finds new wood, new darkness. If you ever find a hollow tree in lonely woods and feel the urge to step inside, to wish, walk away. Some things granted aren't gifts, they're trades, and the hollow always collects, eventually.